think that's the biggest risk. That's right. So we have this opportunity to work with Enfield Middle School in Halifax County, and I visited their farm a couple weeks ago, spoke to their farm manager, who's also the agriculture.
Most economic development energy is focused on incredibly small industrial parks that represent a tiny percentage of a county or a town's land base. That's okay, but there's also a lot of other land.
People remember in this place when the land was used a lot more intensively than it is today, when the land produced a lot more food than it does today. So they remember a landscape that worked.
Put in a deer fence or some way to control.
We named our organization Working Landscapes because we wanted to kindle a conversation about what it takes to make a landscape that works and a landscape in which people can work.
It's actually killed some of the plant.
That's heat related?
Yes. That's before you put this tarp on it.
Okay. Well, this tarp is probably pretty helpful.
Yeah. Gabe and Carla contacted me, and I'm not sure where they got my name from. There aren't that many farmers left, so it's not hard to find a few. In Warren County, when I first came back to farm, there were probably between 200 and 300 active farmers who made their living farming, and now we're probably talking about less than 30.
Are you doing many green cabbages?
Yes, quite a few, and a lot of them will be planted over here that is just starting to come up.
Yeah.
Red cabbage and Savoy cabbage, things that your commercial growers don't grow. So I've worked with them for the first 3 or 4 years. I don't think we really made any money growing product, but I could see that there was potential.
The economy and the food system that we have did not emerge overnight. It's not going to change overnight, but you have to start with something.
When agricultural supply chains started to bypass small towns, those small towns lost their economic function, and they've been struggling ever since. We're trying to restore small towns to their economic function in the rural landscape. And that's by adding steps to the supply chain that take place locally.
We buy collards from local farmers. We chop them and bag them and sell them to schools. Right? And I think we get a lot of value out of having started with something that's so simple and sort of mundane.
One of the intangible ways that I think local food system approaches mobilizes a community is that everybody gets it.
Farming and food are really familiar concepts. What's not familiar is the concept of asset-based economic development. But who cares? That's what it is.
It's a framework that allows people to sort of connect the dots.
We have served 90,000 students through this project. We may not be able to compete with the volumes of big California growers, but we can definitely compete on freshness. Local food doesn't have to cater to a sort of boutique market. That's not how we've structured this project, and we're making it work.
Well, initially I thought, okay, here are 2 Duke grads that are, think they know everything, and, they don't know anything about starting a business. They've proved me wrong. They've raised some grant money and gotten into profitability.
We've received more funding from USDA than any other source. However, we also received crucial funding from the state. The reason we pursued the Chopped Produce Initiative as a public-private partnership is there's some types of funding that local governments have access to that we as a nonprofit don't.
Grants are like venture capital to us in the rural areas.
When local governments are thinking of investing in food system infrastructure, like a food processing facility, they need to look beyond their own jurisdictions. You can look locally when you're assessing supply. What can your farmers grow? What's available and excellent in your community? Warren County is famous for cantaloupes. But then in terms of market, you need to see what neighboring counties, even several counties away, what they're doing. What we don't need is for everyone to go and set up a greens chopping facility. They would all fail. there's just not enough market to support that kind of thing. Communities within a region can work together if they develop complementary infrastructure. If this community here develops a greens shopping facility, and then this facility over here is doing purees, and this facility over here is doing shelled beans, and this facility over here is doing frozen products, that means that a truck can run a route among those different facilities and have a reason to make each stop. Trucks that go in one direction with one product can return with a different product. And as a region, you start to have more to offer because all 4 of those facilities can jointly serve a much larger market.
The advantage of sort of having a regional focus is that you're a larger dot on the map.
That connection between rural farms, small towns, and cities in North Carolina is not an abstract one. It's one that has been the basis of a large portion of the state's economy. The trick is to translate from that to a highly perishable product like vegetables.
We sold more spring crop than all the collards and cabbage and everything we'd done previously total.
Really?
Yeah. The volumes have really expanded significantly. So that not only are we doing something because it's the right thing to do, it's also something that potentially is a profitable business operation.
The farmers that are in the rural communities are really the ones who are able to supply a wholesale market with volume and price.
I think within the next few years, through collaboration with other organizations and just thinking about regional connections, we'll be able to provide some real solutions at a considerably larger scale than we're doing now.
Rural communities aren't large enough to set the conditions or control the forces that they're subjected to, but they can determine how resilient they are in the face of those challenges. Get back once they get to Warrenton, then they're picking up a second finished load.
If I had to put my finger on the one thing that can make a difference in small rural communities when it comes to economic development, it's that sense of what the possibilities are. You know, a sense of what can be.